Hello and welcome to my channel. My usual content will be focused on the gymnastic rings, but I wanted to make a rant style video that doubles as a quick introduction to diet. I want to make a video that anytime someone in real life or online asks me for basic diet advice, I can just link down. The video is going to be broken into a few parts, but please watch this video in order. The current day fitness space is a giant jerk circle. Right now, due to the Mr. Beastification of YouTube Fitness is more concerned with entertainment rather than education. They only repeat the same old advice, which is super marketable and makes people feel good. Currently, there are only 4 types of videos being produced by YouTube Fitness. Firstly, we have White Woman Fitness. The classic Instagram make you feel good, Zumba, lose belly fat in 30 days type videos you'll see on Instagram. And these are probably the worst. They target an miseducated older generation who haven't done much in terms of research regarding fitness. So they fall for scams such as losing stubborn belly fat or doing a million squats to reduce fat. If you're watching this type of content, you're probably a middle-aged woman. Next type of fitness content is the Mr. Beast fitness sphere. With the rise of Mr. Beast, every gym YouTuber started doing these challenges exactly like Mr. Beast, even copying his thumbnail style. These videos consist of hyper-edited slop for simpletons to mindlessly consume while they distract themselves. The core audience for these types of videos are 14-year-old due to their fried attention spans from doom scrolling on TikTok all day. The 4th type of fitness content is the fake natties. This sphere is filled with people blasting steroids and lying, giving men body dysmorphia. This is terrible even if you're not lying about taking steroids, because by giving steroids a platform, you are indirectly encouraging it. I really don't like these types of videos because it warps perceptions of good progress. We've all seen the classic natural transformation where on the left, it's a small 90-pound white child, while in only 6 months, they turn into a big black 260-pound bodybuilder. Furthermore, because these influencers cheated their way through the journey, they give biased, false advice that won't work on natural lifters. Finally, the last type of YouTubers are the good ones. I'll have some channels that I really like on screen, but basically people who focus on giving quality education in a nuanced way. And that's what I'm aiming to give you in this video. My goal that I'm giving myself is to give quality education in a digestible way. At the end of the video, let me know in the comments if you think I achieved this. Speaking of digesting, let's talk about fat people. Our society knows nothing about diet and health. 70% of people in Western countries are overweight. Is this surprising? Most people don't even look into diet, and thus they deserve the results that were given to them. However, we cannot fully put the blame on people for this. We as a society need to have empathy for fat people. And by the way, when I speak about or on fat people, I am not talking about BMI. In my terminology, fat does not equal BMI. The way I define fat people is a type of person who doesn't take care of their health or nutrition. So skinny people can be fat here. But you might be wondering, why not just use the word unhealthy for fat people? That fits the parameters of both definitions. And I'll get into that a bit later, but basically skinny people have types of metabolic syndrome that we associate with fat people. And surprisingly, fat people can actually be healthy. So we need to view fat people with empathy because they are not the enemy. Anytime a fat person looks for information, they get the classic advice of calories in, calories out, count every calorie. But I'm here to tell you that that is not correct, sorta. The law of thermodynamics gets misdiagnosed constantly and does not paint the full picture. Yes, if you eat in a surplus, you will gain weight, and if you eat in a deficit, you will lose weight, but we need to be a bit more nuanced here. calories in and calories out only works if you want to lose weight, but we are not trying to lose weight here. We are trying to lose fat. Those things are not the same. Fat does not equal weight. I really need that to sink in for you. Fat does not equal weight. We are not trying to lose weight. We are trying to lose fat. Eat less and move more is such a simpleton's perspective on this complex issue because it does not take into effect the plethora of reasons why someone might be fat/unhealthy. But to first fix our health, we need to ask why. Why are we eating foods that keep us fat? Well, the main reason is the types of food we are eating and the way we are consuming the foods. We need to break some false ideas first. All calories are not the same, and bad food does exist. These 2 points alone show calories in and calories out is false. This rise in weight gain is a very new concept. The average BMI is significantly getting higher and higher and higher. The average man weighs around 200 pounds, and the average woman now weighs what a man should weigh. In the past, obesity in society would be considered outliers. Now, the healthy people are outliers. And this is because of the decaying quality of food. Let's look at the animal kingdom for inspiration here. If an animal eats what it has been evolved to eat, then the animal usually possesses a lean and muscular build because evolution evolved for the animal's digestive system to hold a certain capacity of certain foods for survival. Places with less food, animals residing there will need less and less, thus their body will create systems to optimize foods. And the foods they would have access to would work in harmony with their body for effective energy. For an example, let's compare wolves and dogs. Wild wolves eat what they need to eat. A wolf is never going to overeat foods that it's supposed to eat because it can't keep hunting all day. And this is the reason why they're muscular and they hold on to a little bit of fat to keep themselves warm. While domesticated house dogs are often given foods that their bodies are unfamiliar with. And therefore, we are seeing a rising issues with dogs who are overweight. We humans are no different. We are eating the foods that work in harmony with our bodies. Therefore, we can speculate that this is not an individual problem, but a societal issue. And we cannot blame fat people for this. We need to have empathy for these people. Right now, I'm saying these people, but I'm talking about you. You are fat. Even if you're fit, you are still probably fat, in the sense that you will struggle with metabolic syndrome in the future. Society treats fat people terribly. Even if people want to act PC and progressive about it, there will always be this unfair treatment subconsciously to fat people. And it's getting worse and worse and worse as I'm seeing a rise in this whole looks maxing community. And in my generation, we focus a lot on stuff like facial jawline, features. My generation seems like they're obsessed with this type of things. This leaves fat people feeling left behind. And then we give them advice, calories in and calories out, which usually instills eating disorders into them. So we need to have compassion and empathy for these people. And I'm saying this because I was a fat person. I understand how society treats fat people, and I understand how it seems like your weight is not in your control. I used to have the misconception that it was all genetic and it was due to my miseducation. We have to treat obesity and being overweight as an addiction. It is not me versus the addict. It is me plus the addict fighting the problem. And there is a problem, and the main culprit are big food corporations. But before I go conspiracy theory, let's talk about what we can do to improve our health. So to basically synthesize everything I'm going to talk about, we need to increase high quality food. That probably didn't sound sexy and you're probably looking for another video right now on how to biohack your way through obesity, but I'm telling you the truth. The truth is unsexy. You need to eat more good food, and very importantly, you need to avoid bad food. There is good food and there is bad food. When you eat good food, you will feel so satisfied that a small amount of bad food will give you all the stimulation you need. Everything is relative. Now let's talk about the reason why I think fat is correlated but not caused by BMI. How is fat unhealthy? Think about it for a minute. Here is an actionable step. Without Googling it, pause the video and think for a couple of minutes on why is fat inherently unhealthy. Pause the video right now and think about it. Hopefully you thought about it and you have the humility to admit you know nothing about why fat is actually unhealthy. There are two types of fat, and one fat is actually not that bad for you. The main reason why fat is bad for you is because of metabolic syndrome. Metabolic syndrome is connected with diabetes, heart diseases, high blood pressure, and more. However, not all types of fat give you metabolic syndrome. 20% of obese people are actually healthy due to them not having metabolic syndrome. I'm going to show you two pictures right now on screen. Which one of these two pictures are more unhealthy, and which one is more likely to die of high blood pressure? It's the right one. See how fat he is? He's obviously gonna die. Just look at him. Do you see his big fat belly? Here's another one if you're too stupid to understand this first picture. Which of these ones are gonna die first? The right one. Just look at him. Look at him. He's gonna die first, obviously. Well, I'm lying to you right now. The left one is actually significantly more likely to have issues even though his belly is smaller. The one on the right could actually be a pretty healthy person who will live a long and healthy life. It looks like he could be a football player or something. The only negative thing about the one on the right is that it's unaesthetic, and being heavy might make it hard for your knees and spine, and you might struggle with sleep apnea. But overall, not terrible. The left could die tomorrow. This is the difference between visceral fat and subcutaneous fat. The left has visceral fat. The difference is visceral fat is between your organ, while subcutaneous fat is outside your organs. Don't want fat between your organs. This is why in my terminology, when I speak of fat people, I do not mean BMI. When I speak about fat people, I talk about people with high levels of visceral fat, which includes skinny people. Eat less and move more will only really work on the guy on the right. I love this picture because it shows a good example on why I use fat not as a physical descriptor. These two women both look the same, but one has low visceral fat, and you can see there the health markers are going to be completely different. Visceral fat will cause metabolic syndrome, not just fat gain. Visceral fat is gained through the foods we eat. However, I want to have a disclaimer. Most fat people who do get to a higher BMI do have visceral fat. This is because weight that is gained is caused by calorie surplus. And let's be honest, most people that are on a calorie surplus are not eating good foods. So fat on its own is actually not bad for you, but it's usually linked with visceral fat, and most people who are overweight have visceral fat. Most people who are underweight also most likely have visceral fat, and most people who are fit also probably have visceral fat. No one understands diet. The modern day healthcare system has an issue. While it's amazing to extend our lifespan, it is horrible to prevent illnesses. We have a million ways to treat heart attacks, but we don't teach people how to prevent a heart attack. Our lifespans are significantly longer, but our rate of chronic illnesses are the highest it's ever been. This leads to a generation of suffering. Before, when you had a chronic illness, you would just die, and you wouldn't have to suffer through the pain, but now you have to live with the pain of your diet. So we need to learn how to prevent metabolic syndrome. Here comes the trillion-dollar question that everyone is asking. What causes visceral fat? Sugar. Sugar is the modern day enemy. Sugar is the invisible battle we all face. But before I get into sugar, I have a bone to pick with a certain little triangle that has been terrorizing my entire generation: the food pyramid. This food pyramid is single-handedly causing the painful existence of billions of people. By making carbs the most common types of food you should consume, and by putting fat higher up, you are inherently going to consume more sugar. Even though they put sugar at the very top and they'll tell you sugar should be consumed the least, look at the foods they put in the carbs section. White bread, pasta, croissants, waffles, what? These foods probably have as much, if not more, sugar than some of the candies you can find in the store. I'm not saying carbs are the devil and that you should avoid eating carbs altogether, but carbs should not be your primary food source, especially not complex, highly processed carbs. Here's a simple rule that I like to think of. If something is low in fat, it's high in sugar. If something is high in sugar, it's low on fat. I like to think of this diagram that I have on screen as the taste spectrum. Every food needs to have either fat or sugar. If it had none, it would be disgusting and you'd probably throw up. So look at the spectrum here. If you have any piece of food, think about where it would fall on the spectrum. Closer to fat or closer to sugar. Obviously, this is not 100% because there are other flavor profiles. This is just a simplification I like to think of. Fat is taste. A carb with no fat would be plain rice, which you're not going to eat. And even rice has sugar. And we need fat. We should be eating fat. fat. I don't know where this idea that fat is bad for you came from. Fat in the context of good food is not bad. Butter is good for you. Oil is good for you. Obviously, you can go overboard with it, but healthy fat is not bad for you. We evolved to eat fats, especially from animals. Anything that says low fat, I am telling you, it is slop. Anything that's low fat means it's high in sugar, or it would taste terrible. I have an actionable step for you right now. Next time you go grocery shopping, look for items that say something like reduced fat or low fat. Then look at its sugar contents and let it sink in how large mega corporations do not care about you or your future. They do not care about the future for humanity, but they only care about keeping profits up and keeping you addicted. The cheapest substance mega corporations can put into food to make it addictive is sugar. Even things that are not inherently sweet, like bread, will be jammed packed with sugar. Sugar is the cause of visceral fat. But why? Let's ask ourselves why. Why do we get addicted to sugar? And here, we're going to enter the next section of the video, hormonal health. Before we continue, I just want to talk about how I'm not a doctor or a highly trained scientist, but I have looked into the research, and even doctors will agree with the information I'm telling you here. The problem is they just won't say it out loud because it's not part of the job. Their job is not to prevent diseases, but it is to cure them. And I'm not blaming the individual doctors or health professionals. It is the system that they are trained in. If you go to a doctor with this information, they're going to agree with all of it. It just needs to be fished out of them. So I hope you can trust me and be interested enough to do your own research after this. I don't want to be this dogmatic health guy who you have to listen to. I want to encourage critical thinking and inspire you to do further research on your own health. However, but I'm also asking you to be critical of doctors and studies. Currently in our society, there's this science jerk circle where if something is said in a study, then that must mean it's true. But there are lots of worthless studies. Many are biased and many are sponsored by big corporations. And I want you to think critically. Don't just Google something up and take Google's default AI response. Don't just read a study and accept it. Read the whole study, not just the abstract. Pay attention to how they conduct the study. Pay attention to sample sizes and the terminology they use. It's gotten to a point where any argument you can make, I can find 10 studies that prove that argument and 10 studies that disprove that argument. We always need to use critical thinking. Now, let's dive into hormones. Everything related to our diet is due to hormones. Laziness, hunger, mood, it's all hormones. But you can change your hormones to enjoy food, especially healthy food. You can help synchronize your body with your diet. The main hormones I will be talking about today are leptin, insulin, and ghrelin. And we will be talking about glycemic loads as well. Leptin is basically how our body regulates when we are full and when we have energy that needs to be utilized. We want to get to a point in which once we are done eating, we are full. I know that sounds like common sense, but most of us have messed up leptin levels. Leptin also generates energy throughout the day. It is a part of the reason why some people can't be bothered to work out while others can work out for hours. Insulin is a thing that all diabetic people are constantly talking about. It's a hormone that spikes with carbs and complex sugar. Insulin acts as a resistor to leptin. So having large, heavy meals will delay leptin, which in turn will cause you to overeat and lower your energy to exercise. That is why when you eat a big meal that is filled with carbs or sugar, you feel lethargic. It is also why you hear the pretty good advice to slow your eating, because you want to give your time for your leptin to fully kick in. That sleepiness after food is your leptin being delayed. Insulin on its own is not a bad thing. Insulin does give energy, which is great, and it's why you hear the common saying, carbs equals energy, which is technically true, but extra insulin will store fat. Now, to go back to our thesis, the fitness industry will parrot the same phrase, calories in and calories out, but we know now that this is not inherently true. To simplify this further, if you overeat carbs and sugar, insulin will produce fat. Fat gain is caused by insulin, and this is where glycemic load comes into play. The glycemic load of foods will spike your insulin. Junk food has a high glycemic load. Now we have a more definitive definition of bad food. Bad foods are foods that have high glycemic load, but it gets more nuanced than that. Now, ghrelin is your hunger hormone. It dictates when you get hungry. It works in synergy with your circadian rhythm, so it's nocturnal. Ghrelin usually spikes when you would normally eat. So if you eat breakfast at 9 a.m. every single day, then at 9 a.m. you're going to get hungry. However, ghrelin is not your body shutting down. It is just a feeling that you can ignore. If you ignore your ghrelin spikes, it will flatten out with time. That's why so many people talk about the benefits of intermediate fasting. Look at this graph I put on screen right here. L, D, B are lunch, dinner, and breakfast. You can see that during these times when your ghrelin spikes, you will feel pretty hungry. But if you stay fasted, your ghrelin will actually lower and will equalize. Most people think they can't fast because when they skip breakfast, they are starving. And they think that if they don't eat, their hunger will get worse and worse. However, in reality, that hunger is just a feeling, and it's the worst as it's gonna get. We can all relate to that one day when we were super busy with something and we were distracted and you forget to eat. During those days when you were super busy, when you forgot to eat, sure, you were hungry, but after a while, it went away. So to quickly summarize what we have so far, because I kind of went through it pretty fast, all calories are not the same. Visceral fat is not the same as subcutaneous fat. Visceral fat is unhealthy. Visceral fat is caused by eating bad foods such as sugar. Our eating is regulated by three main hormones. Leptin, which tells us to stop eating. Insulin, which will delay leptin and give you an energy crash. Insulin is also spiked in foods with high glycemic loads. And finally, ghrelin, which tells us when we are hungry, but can be suppressed with fasting. When we have foods with high glycemic load, we feel tired right after and are less energized. Therefore, junk food will make you less effective with your workouts. So what can we do to improve our health? We need to eat a diet of whole foods that do not spike our insulin. What are whole foods? Whole foods are foods that you stereotypically think of when you think of good, healthy foods. Foods that are filled with one ingredient. That's why McDonald's chicken versus home chicken are completely different. McDonald's chicken has a million ingredients, but chicken you make at home only has one ingredient, chicken. The products you buy and consume should only have one ingredient, maybe two. And this sounds really unfortunate because that means no sauce, no ketchup, no mustard, no mayo, etc. Stop being white. You'll need to learn how to season your food and add flavor through herbs and spices. I hate this preconceived notion that vegetables are disgusting. No, vegetables are tasty. You just don't know how to cook. There are so many recipes online on how to make good vegetable dishes. And on top of that, you can cook these vegetable dishes in a good amount of fat. This will cause lots and lots of flavor. Also, add herbs. If you add enough herbs, spices, chilies, trust me, you won't need sauce. What does sauce even do? It adds moisture and some flavor. Well, if you make sure your food has enough fat and is filled with herbs and spices, that's your moisture and fat already taken care of. Are you a child? Do you need ketchup with your food? Your taste buds will evolve and adapt to a more matured palate once you start drowning your food in sauce. What you want to do is to make a list of whole foods, so one ingredient foods, that you like and just combine them. For example, salmon and sweet potatoes, or broccoli and asparagus. It's literally that easy. Look up salmon and sweet potato recipes online and make them. Boom, now you're in the top 1% of health and you've just greatly improved your life quality. But easier said than done. This advice is really nice if you're older and you have some time after work to cook every day. But what about if you're a student like me and you don't have the time? This is where meal prep comes into play. Because I'm super busy with school, I'll only cook about once a month and just freeze everything and then eat a portion once a day. I do this because I'm not very good at cooking and I'm an architecture student. Famously, we get the least amount of sleep compared to any other degree. So my way of approaching food is to find vegetables I enjoy eating, like sweet potatoes, asparagus, broccoli, and carrots, and just bake them with oil, chilies, and coriander. I also like to add some cheese on top for a bit of taste. And also, if you really want to go to the next level, use really lean meats like chicken. Because I'm vegetarian, I'll make TVP as my main protein source. And these dishes taste really good. They will fill you for the whole day, and they are very healthy. Occasionally, I also make egg muffins. So I'll just get like a muffin baking tray that you make cupcakes and stuff in, and I'll mix egg batter and make different types of eggs and just fill them with different vegetables. But remember, this is a journey. You must progressively massively overload your diet. You're not going to have the perfect diet immediately, but progress is progress. Even if you just replace one meal with something healthy, that's still a win. It's going to take some time, and that's okay. It may take months, but that's still better than everyone else who's not even trying. Even with this video, if you make a 5% improvement, I know I did a good job. A part 2 of this video will be coming out soon. This video has taken way too long to make. Part 2 is going to be focused on binge eating and on how to control and negate bad eating. Stay tuned for that video. But until that video comes out, I'll be focused on making videos regarding the gymnastic rings. If you feel like I accomplished my goals and I gave some easy to digest, high quality education, please let me know down in my comments. Hi, my name is Addy, and I'm grateful you watched this video. If you enjoyed it, consider subscribing to support the small, unconventional channel. I'm trying to create honest, vulnerable content without hyper edits or clickbait. Just content that I really wished I had a few years ago. If you believe in that too, I would really appreciate your subscription. Thank you.